I'm sorry to crash out of my interview with Andrew Clennell. Sorry about that, Andrew. But joining me is Resources Minister Matt Canavan, one of the key Nationals involved in deciding who will be the next Nationals leader tomorrow, and as a consequence, our new Deputy Prime Minister. Matt Canavan, thank you so much for joining me. We're told that you have offered your resignation. Can you tell us why and what will happen next?
Well, it's pretty simple, Andrew. I've come to the decision myself that the Nationals Party, and particularly the people who support us, the farmers, miners, people who just want a job in regional Australia, that they'll be best served by a change of leadership to Barnaby Joyce. So I'll be backing Barnaby tomorrow, and because of that, I need to do the right thing, and as a member of Michael McCormack's team, offer my resignation. So I've done that this evening. I've let my colleagues know, obviously, and look, we don't work in factions, the Nationals Party. We all make our own decisions. I respect other people's decisions. Michael has been a tireless and committed leader for our party, and we'll make this decision one way or another, and then we'll get on with it, as you do in the country. We can all agree to disagree, and move on.
Was your resignation accepted?
Well, look, we left on the basis that would happen. I'll make the appropriate arrangements tomorrow, but you know, I wish Michael all the best. As I say, he's very committed. He's passionate for the regional areas, and I'm sure he'll continue, whatever happens, as maybe leader or whatever, as a really effective part of our team.
Right. 8 months ago, Australians voted for the Morrison government, understanding that Scott Morrison would be Prime Minister and Michael McCormack would be Deputy Prime Minister. In 8 months, what's changed your mind that Michael McCormack must go?
Well, look, I just think, Andrew, that I've come to the decision that we need that change. Michael has been leader for 2 years now, and yes, we had a good election result, fought on some major issues, but the attacks haven't stopped. We've still got people wanting to shut down the coal industry. We've still got people wanting to take away the rights from landowners who just want to clear their land and develop stuff. Still got people who want to deny Indigenous Australians an opportunity to grow and develop. And we just need to really be in there fighting for those interests. We've still got people who don't want to have coal-fired power stations in this country. I'll add that one to the list too. And I think those interests and the people we serve will be best served by Barnaby as leader. That's the judgment I've come to. It is a judgment call.
What are you saying, that Michael McCormack, your leader, the Deputy Prime Minister, wasn't in favour of what you've just outlined?
No, look, on the policy issues, we're quite united in the Nationals Party, but what happens, Andrew, is being a small party from the bush, we struggle sometimes to be heard, because quite often down here people don't listen to regional Australia. Look what happened last year when everybody was shocked down here that there were 10 to 12% swings in regional Queensland over the issue of Adani. No one understood it. No one at the night, they're all perplexed about what had happened because they don't listen to people in regional Australia. And because people here in our major cities don't listen to people in regional Australia, we've got to just speak that little bit louder to be heard. And that's principally the reason why I think we should have change, and we should deliver that loud voice and strong action for people who live in the regions in our country.
Can I be clear? Is it because Michael McCormack is a poor communicator, or is it because Barnaby Joyce, who's a better communicator, when he comes in will actually have different policies or fight for them harder? Which of the two, communications or different policies, are the factors in your mind?
Yeah. Look, I don't put a great premium on communication per se. I think all that people expect of you is to be authentic and forthright. You know, Barnaby often slurs his words and those things, but he's who he is, right? He's telling you, I think people understand he's genuine, and that's what people want. And so it's more about just that fight, just having the fight. Like, you know, I down here, I've
including
had
the
a
fight
long
with the
career,
Liberals, obviously.
Well, obviously, that's right. I fight with everybody, like just to get results. And you know, the one thing that is hard to bottle down here is just, and hard for maybe to understand, is to have that courage of your convictions when the bullets are firing. You put a lot of pressure gets put on you in this place to say certain things, to act in certain ways, to take certain positions that are seen to be respectable in polite society. And it's having that courage to step out from that sometimes against all advice in the world, that makes the difference. And obviously I've worked closely with Barnaby and seen that over the years, that he can so often make calls which everybody thinks are wrong, and then in a few weeks' time everyone's saying, well, that was the right thing to do, because he does fight and he stands up for his beliefs and convictions.
Now, last year you notoriously had a shouting match with the Prime Minister, apparently over a coal-fired power station sited in Queensland. So far it seems you've lost that bid. Has that consideration, that lost fight, been a factor in you considering changing your vote to Barnaby Joyce instead as Leader and Deputy Prime Minister?
Well, the short answer is no, Andrew. I don't accept your conclusion that I've lost that fight, but the short answer is no. The longer answer is, look, I think we should have built a coal-fired power station 3 or 4 years ago. You know, when Northern shut in South Australia, and not much later the lights went out across the whole state, first time since the 1960s. It was blatantly obvious that we needed more baseload power. I've been fighting ever since to try and get some support for coal-fired power. And look, I've failed in that regard. I haven't delivered that over the last 3 or 4 years, and so maybe a change of direction would help, because I still think that is what this country needs. Look at this ridiculous situation we've got in Victoria at the moment, in your home state, where the Portland aluminium smelter should be pride and joy of our manufacturing industry is holding on by a thread with one power line, hoping that the temperature doesn't get too much over 40 degrees in the next few weeks, or the whole thing could shut. It is unacceptable, and we should be doing more to defend those who want to work in our country, those who want to work in our great manufacturing industry. And I think as Nationals Party are the ones that are standing up for workers. We are the true party of workers now. The Labor Party's long deserted workers. They don't stand up for the coal industry, they don't stand up for the manufacturing industry, and this country desperately needs a party to defend the workers in this country, to defend opportunity, to defend aspiration, and make sure people have a chance to have a go in their life.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a shocking thing about Victoria. It's correct. A couple of days ago, the Portland smelter had once again to close business to save power for Victoria, which is running out of power in heat waves now. Once it was a great power behemoth. But does this mean that a Nationals Party led by Barnaby Joyce as Deputy Prime Minister, backed by you, who've been very active in this, will now argue much more forcefully against the Liberals, particularly Liberal wets, that Australia must have a new coal-fired power station?
Look, Andrew, I've expressed to you my view, which I'm sure is no secret, but I'm not running for leader, so I'm not going to put words in Barnaby's mouth or commit him to things. You know, if he's the leader, it's up to him. If Michael's the leader, it's up to Michael. So look, that'll be a matter for them. But you know, I've expressed my opinion that we should have had one 3 or 4 years. If we'd made that decision 3 or 4 years ago, it'd be open now, right? It would be functioning and running. Thank God the South Australians built a gas-fired power plant. They made that call after Northern shut. They built a gas-fired power plant, and that's at least allowed South Australia to ride through these issues. The problem we've got with gas is we've got no cheap gas, so it's still very expensive, but at least it's allowed the lights to stay on. OK, there's a vote tomorrow. You're shifting your support. Obviously, you're influential. That's one reason you're coming on air. People say that, you know, there are a couple of people that would come with you. Does Barnaby Joyce have the numbers to be Deputy Prime Minister tomorrow? I don't know, Andrew. I haven't done any lobbying or calling myself. I wanted to do the right thing and let Michael know up front, which I've done this evening. We don't, you know, maybe it's not surprising to people. We don't, you know, really lobby and factionalise the Nationals Party, so I just don't know. People will make their own calls. They'll make their own judgments, and I'll respect those, whatever the result is. And finally, Matt Canavan, there are people saying, well, look, Barnaby Joyce, busted flush, yesterday's man, over the hill, etc., etc., has broken his trust with the Australian public because, among other things, he had an affair with a staffer in his office, his marriage broke up, he subsequently had 2 children with his now wife, and that's too bad, is yesterday's man. How much of that do you think is true? Look, I think people understand that Barnaby's a genuine person with all of the flaws and other things that every human being has. You know, he's gone through a pretty rough time and of his own making. There's no doubt about that. But he's come through it, and he's a tough bloke. He's pretty resilient, and people respect he's authentic, even if he's not perfect. That much is true. Matt Canavan, I appreciate you coming on the show to give us the lay of the land. Appreciate that. No worries, Andrew. You have a good evening.